So what is a composite application? So a composite application really is gives you the ability to do third-party URLs. So things such as Google Maps, or if you have your own custom web applications, you can integrate those to a single user interface within JD Edwards as part of a layout framework. You can also do Oracle Business Intelligence applications. So OBIEE reports can also be integrated in. In addition, you can also integrate Web Center forms as well into your applications. So all of this will allow you to seamlessly view all these different disparate applications in one single screen. Some of the prerequisites we're going to talk about: updating the tools 913, making sure you have the security set up, and also you have the correct application forms enabled. And as part of our demo, we'll actually walk you through some of these quick steps so that once you have upgraded to the 913 tools, you see how you can quickly get started. So first off, in terms of the tools upgrade, some quick advice here. The tools upgrade, to get to 913, you have to do the upgrade, so make sure you're on at least 9.0 and you've upgraded to that version of the app, and then you can do the tools upgrade. The upgrade process is something that you should probably do at least 1 or 2 times. You know, when tools upgrades come out, you should probably consider doing those once or twice a year so that you're in line with the latest release. A lot of times it's to your advantage to have to be on the latest release for support purposes. In addition, there's several improvements that they make. In fact, the latest tools releases have greatly allowed you to identify customizations and various changes that may impact your upgrade. So it makes the ongoing and future support much easier. So they're not as difficult. Most of these things are very technical, and your CNC administrator should be able to apply them very easily. I recommend that you definitely take a different environment, such as your development or a prototype type environment, where you can apply the upgrade, see how it impacts your changes and your applications, and test those things out before you go ahead and move forward with applying that to production. Just some quick notes here about the upgrade in the tool set. You're getting the new version of the composite applications and the ability to create those. But other things that you may be interested in with this 913 release include, improved processing speed with BI Publisher. You have different administrative tools such as the Object Analyzer and the Server Manager. So you have improved performance as well as improved administrative capabilities with the tools release, as well as some other nice UI features such as the watch lists and the ability to create composite apps. So I want to go now into what it takes to really design a good, compelling composite application. What you want to do is you want to take your audience into account. For example, a manager who is in charge of multiple personnel, for example, in an accounting department, may want to see something different than a data entry clerk. And because of that, when you design your composite apps, you want to keep in mind what the audience is doing and what they do from a day-to-day basis that would facilitate their work. So a manager may want to see some kind of dashboard and alerts to various changes that are going on that they need to be seeing, like thresholds if invoices are overdue or which invoices are late, and then take action about how to get those things resolved. So they may want to see something in an overall overview approach and then be able to drill down to it. Whereas someone that's more focused on entering invoices or entering customer orders, they have something where they can enter a data entry, but then they have some secondary screens to help them with that data entry with various lookup screens. So we'll talk about what the focus of the application is and the different design patterns that we can use based on that focus to help facilitate the workflow and their processes. So in general, you want to design them for the context of use, how the user is going to interact, what their job is, and then also understand the environment that they're working in terms of do they have a large monitor or a small monitor. So that would also impact your design in terms of how many screens or how many different applications you want to display. And if they're working in a mobile environment, limiting the number of oversized screens so that they're able to view this adequately in a smaller mobile application. So the first design or layout that I want to talk about is the dashboard pattern. So when I was talking about the manager situation where they want to see invoices and they want to understand what invoices are coming in, what are past due, what's been closed, they may want to see a dashboard information-centric design. And based on that, they will have additional secondary and lower panels where they can drill down to details, maybe list out what specific invoices are overdue, and then select one of those specific invoices and be able to see detailed data information on that, such as what the customer is, what the account numbers are, what the detailed line items of that invoice are, why is that invoice overdue, what items on that invoice may be causing the problem. So all that would be based on the dashboard-centric design where you're getting summary level information in more of a visual way, and then they may be able to take some analytical or next step actions on it based on what you're seeing in the dashboard. Another design that you may want to consider is the list page design. This is more for someone that is doing inquiry, searching for data. So your main screen here is an inquiry screen where you're looking for data and details, whether it be particular types of equipment, and based on that type of equipment, you're wanting to understand either secondary or detail level information on that. So this is something where maybe in a help desk situation, you're looking for a list of items or a list of troubled tickets, and you're finding a ticket, and then based on that ticket, you're seeing, oh, who's the customer of that ticket and what the contact information for that customer is. So you can look something up very quickly and then get details on it also very quickly. So this is your list type information, search type information type screen. The third type of design pattern that I want to speak about is related to records and actually doing data entry. This kind of design is more for someone that is working on a day-to-day basis where they have to enter information, enter data, and you have issues with having to deal with data quality because maybe they're having to type in information repeatedly, and they may actually need some additional lookup to facilitate entering more accurate data. So, for example, you're entering supplier information. You may have additional supplier numbers or the supplier's equipment numbers that might be different from the main numbers that you use. So they may have some secondary screens here or lower level screens where they can do some searching and get the correct data and enter that into their system. And facilitate that so they're not having to go back and forth to multiple screens. Everything is being displayed on one main screen for them. So also briefly, I want to talk about considerations for mobile app, because anything that you create in the JD Edwards application as far as composite applications go will also be viewable in the iPad mobile app. So some things you want to consider there is if you're thinking about using something where you may want to allow users to access it via the iPad, such as a work order screen. You may have facilities maintenance people out in the field and you want them to be able to enter work orders via the iPad app. You want to limit the number of screens they have to flip through. So it makes sense to create a composite app where you have all the information on one screen. It's better to have information on one screen rather than having them move to multiple screens because once you're in the mobile environment, it takes time to load each individual screen. So it's better. You're better off having a screen that maybe they do need to scroll down on to get some more information, but they don't have to go to a completely new screen. That definitely facilitates some of the mobile workflow. But at all possible, try to make sure you understand the size of the screen and limit the amount of scrolling that they would have to do. So if they're primarily focused on data entry and they're entering work orders, make sure that's the prominent screen, and then they have some secondary screens that where they may need to look up information, but they don't have to do too much scrolling in order to get that info. So there's there's not much you can do in terms of actually customizing the actual iPad application itself, but when you're designing a composite application with that in mind, make sure to consider those things. So I want to go into demos now, And I'm going to switch this over to Murli's screen so that we can actually go and walk you guys through creating a composite application and what the steps are that are needed to do that.
Thanks, Victor.
Okay, Murli, let's go through creating a composite application. What's the first step we need to do here?
Yeah, thanks, Victor. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show how to create the composite application and the steps needed to enable the applications in order to add more screens onto the JD Edwards screen. So first thing we have to do is we need to go to P952332 application, and we have to enable all the forms that we need to add composite applications. So to do that, we need to make sure like it's already, we have to verify if the form that we want to add more composite applications is in the grid or not. So let us say we want to add one screen on P01012 on work with addresses. So the form name we can look here, that is W01012B, and go back to the other application and look for the form.
So really by default, none of the forms are enabled to use composite applications. You have to identify that form that you want to have to become a composite application, find out what that form name is, and then enter it into this work with related information application.
Yeah, and if you see here, it's already there with star public and mconum user IDs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it from this screen. I'm going to add it again just to show you how to do that. Before we go there, we do that, I'll just tell you one more thing here. So when you go here, so if you see here, there is a personalization menu. So there you will have option edit current page. So since my session is same session, I already have that under star public. I need to delete the star public one also. And then go back to the address book. Now I don't have that edit current page option. So that means first I need to enable this form in the P952332 application. Then only I can modify the any form actually. So I'm coming back here. I'm adding it here. So product type should be, will have options. So you have to select generic URL because we are showing URL on the screen. And user
the other options are for report using the OBIEE and WebCenter.
Yeah. So if you are going to use OneView reports, you can use OneView option here, and web-centric, then you can choose the other option. Just close here, and then user role, you can use star public or any specific username. So I'm going to give my user, and then form name, it's W01012B, and by default for all the versions it will apply. And here we have options like create composite application layouts and content, and there are additional options to publish. So view only means we cannot, the user cannot create any new composite applications and layouts. And create composite application layouts means they can use the existing layouts and add them into the application. And create composite application and layouts and content, you can create new contents and layouts both. So I'm saving it. So now you will see that there is one record added to the grid. And I'm going back to the previous screen, work with the related information, work with the address information. So now if I go here, I can see edit current page. So click here. So you have two options here. One is create new content and the other one is open existing content. So open existing content in the sense you can pick and choose whatever the form that is already created and assign to the users. And if you want to create a new content, then you don't need to click here. Just to go here and create new content and put a site like wherever you want to see that screen. And you need, like, I'm going to see weather information now. So weather information, so you need URL. So I just got one URL here. So basically what we have to do is look for any postal code by using postal code. So this is Houston weather report. So I'm going to use the same URL and place it here. And if you want to make it dynamic, what you have to do is click on dynamic, and before that make sure that you have some data on the grid. So here path remains as you will see, remains as, right? So this is the zip code, actually postal code. So we are going to make it as dynamic so that every time for each record the zip code is going to change and the content will be changed. So I'm going to map it to postal code. And if you want, you can validate and then make sure that the web page is coming up properly, and then close and save it. And if you want to save this as a layout, save layout and then close. So now you can close this and reopen. So when you reopen, by default you are going to see the new app, and then look for some data. So my postal code here is 75024. So that is Plano, Texas. So you can navigate throughout the page. And then each time you go to separate row, the page is going to refresh.
And what you've done here, MK, is this is basically your personal layout. So it's only accessible to your user account. And we can talk to them about what we can do to get this content. So if you're wanting to incorporate some workflow in here so that people have to approve the content and approve the layout prior to actually having it published, that's also another option, and we can talk about some of the publication and how to publish these things later so that other users can use this layout and this content.
Yeah, to do that, we have another application called P952335. So what we have to do is we just need to take this layout and based on the layout name and grant the access here, so that it will be available for the users whoever want to use, and then they can save the layout once they sign in and make the changes, like wherever they want to position, they can position it and save it. So
and in this way, you can control what content is actually published, so that
yes,
if there's something that needs to be secured, only certain users have the access rights to that content.
yes. If you see here, so just make sure what the template name. So realtor, it says realtor by default. So this is the form. So right now it has like star public. So everybody will have this composite application. But in order to save that by default, if they want to display that, they need to go. Let me log in with. Victor, can you log in with your credentials? I will just show how they need to save on the screen.
Okay.
So once you log into this page, by default, he will not be seeing any screens here. But if you go here, okay. Since we deleted for star public, we just need to add it to Victor's account as well, the same form. So here we just need to copy this and we can say VLAN. So now these are the previous screens that those are assigned to Victor. That's why they are loading. But I can close this and go to edit current page again, open existing.
Right. So once we've enabled that form, Murali, you can see that we are able to have my account with access to that content.
We just need to add there also. Then whatever the layout we added, we have to add that to P952335 and give access to the particular users so that they can access from the use existing layouts.
So let's go into some of the examples that we've created that shows them how the different design patterns are employed. So why don't you go ahead and sign out and log in as you.
Yeah, sure.
So previously we talked about a dashboard-centric version of this design. So let's go ahead and pull up the dashboard Composite app.
Yeah.
So normally what you could have here is a one-view report that would display a dashboard and summary level information. Let's say you're working with financial information and you may want to look up some account level details, but you also want to see summary level overall financial information on the top.
I think it's being slow a bit.
Okay, I think in this case we did not have our BI server running, so we're using a separate BI utility here with MicroStrategy, but it'll still give you an idea of what the dashboard would look like. So here would be like a typical dashboard that you can see. You have different, information on the top. You can drill down and explore the dashboard as much as you'd like, and then on the bottom you have a basic inquiry screen that will allow you to do different searches based on the information that you're seeing above. So that's the dashboard pattern. What you can do is different types of reports on the top. Is obviously if we had the OBIE server working, we could give you actually some one-view reports there. The other option is design pattern we're talking about is the ability to actually do lookups when you're doing various inquiries. So for example, if we go to the item master, so what we've done here is we set up a link to Grainger's website, and let's say we have various products that we utilize from Grainger, and we may want to look at detailed information such as their item numbers or their pricing based on their website. What we've done is we've linked the Grainger item numbers to our item numbers. And whenever we select those specific numbers within our item master browse, it'll come up on the Grainger website. So this is an example of where you may have some kind of inquiry, you're researching items, you want to know about some pricing information, or you might be actually wanting to enter additional item master information, and you want to look that stuff up from the website and be able to enter it accurately into JD Edwards. This will facilitate that type of process. So this is more of the list view inquiry with the detailed information on it. So another design pattern we talked about was actually based for data entry. So let's look at that. I think we have one created for address book. So what we have here is, we're entering new address book information, and what we'd like to do is have the ability to look up additional information. Let's say we're entering the address, but we're not sure about whether the address is valid, or there may be additional information about that address that we may want to input. We've linked it to Google Maps here, so as you enter address information, you can see the Google Maps update. And there you have a Houston address, but you can go ahead and you can change that to a different address, and you'll be able to see it update the Google map as well. And then you can see the Google map updates and say, hey, that's not in Houston, that's in Katy. So you can get some lookup information, validate that address, and so when you actually enter it in your address book, you know it is a correct address. So this helps facilitate data entry and making sure the data that you enter is accurate. So we've kind of gone over some of those three different design patterns we discussed, the dashboard-centric, the list view inquiry centric, and also the data entry centric. We're not fully utilizing all of the composite application capability here, so I'd like to show you another example where you can have multiple composite apps placed together. Right now we're using just one or two of the screens, mainly because we want to be cognizant of how the user is working with the system and what screen real estate is available, so that when this is either ported to an iPad or mobile app, they're still able to comfortably view all the different screens. But let's say we wanted to have the ability to do multiple apps. We can go into the customer order and talk about this one where we've added more than one app. So as you can see here, we've got the customer service inquiry, and you can do a search against that. And as different customer orders will come up, you can track the shipping under the FedEx. And you notice though that this is taking up much more real estate when you start adding multiple screens, whether when you have the FedEx and the Google Maps displayed together. So it's limiting your functionality there. So you really need to be cognizant of that when you do that. One thing you can do is you can minimize the content as MK can do here, and that way you don't need that. If you don't need the map for, if you don't need to verify an address or look something up via Google Maps, you can minimize that piece and then view only the screens that you need at that time. So if you're only looking at the tracking information on FedEx, and you just click on one of the customer orders that has FedEx information related to it, you can pull up the tracking information to that. There's the tracking information, and then when you want to see the map, you just click on that map on the right-hand side, and that'll pull it right back up onto your screen. So then you can you only need to reference it when it's needed. So that's another design consideration. If you want to do multiple apps on a single screen like this, keep in mind that you have the ability to minimize them, and that you may want your default layout to only show the main ones, and then add that third level or secondary level app as it's needed. A couple other notes that I want to convey here when we're talking about composite apps is really what we're doing is we're entering information to a third-party URL. So we're connecting one way. In other words, you're sending information from JD Edwards, such as a zip code or a tracking number, and you're sending that to a third-party URL, such as FedEx. So it's a one-way transmission. You're not getting information back. So let's say I wanted to import the tracking information from FedEx back into JD Edwards. Composite applications does not allow you to do that. One thing that you may want to consider doing there is using business services or real-time events and doing some integration that way, where if you wanted to do both a two-way connection with integration, you can look into some of those features such as business services, which basically allows you to use a web service and either publish a web service or use a third-party web service to pull data into JD Edwards. The other thing that you also can see here is that we're also working with third-party, but you can also do your own, if you have custom applications, web applications internally within your company, you can obviously integrate with those. But let's say you wanted to integrate with other JD Edwards applications. So you have customer service inquiry here, and you wanted to have address book or a different application as a composite app. Composite apps really doesn't allow you to do that very well. You could put some of these applications together, but they don't seem to sync up as seamlessly as you can because the URL connection is not set up properly for that. What you can consider there is possibly using something such as Power Forms and using some of those capabilities of PowerForms to integrate multiple JD Edwards applications within the same screen, and then using composite applications where you need a third-party external application. Okay, I think that covers some of the demos that we have. What I'd like to do now is give you the opportunity to enter any questions that you may have. We may not have the ability to answer all your questions right now, so what I'd like to do is for you, if you'd like to enter any questions, feel free to enter them through the chat window, and what we'll do is we will respond to those questions via email to you. And also, at the end of this presentation, what we'll do is we will create a PDF version of it and send that out to you as well.